joined the group over at potentialzonegroup.com. Highly recommend you get over there because this is where I put some of my greatest content in there. Go join the community. Hey, everybody, it's good to see you. Glad you're here. If you're watching this live, type in live below, or if you are watching this as a replay, please type in replay. Always enjoy seeing all my friends. Really, really appreciate it. Just had an epic weekend. Actually, the last 2 weekends have been pretty amazing. The weekend before last, I was in doing an event with a partner of mine in Malaysia, and giving out lots and lots of amazing content for our program for prosperity course that she and I put together. And then this last weekend, I was able to, I delivered my ROI challenge, ROI accelerator challenge, and had incredible. It was amazing. Lots of lives got changed. Had this one woman create it was incredible. And I just really love seeing people step into their greatness. And this is what I am all about here, is really getting people to understand that you are the creator of your life. Like the ROI and the ROI accelerator challenges, the R is for remember, right? And understanding what that really means. Remember literally means to rewrite, like to rewrite who you are. And you are the authority figure in your life. And so you look at the word authority, first part of that word is author, right? Like when you step into really understanding your ability to choose how you want to show up and who you want to be and who you get to be, then, oh my gosh, right? And so it's really important for you to understand, and no experience with that. It's really important for you to understand that you are the one that decides what is possible, right? And if you're going to filter things, like here's a great question that I encourage all of you to ask. Like this whole conversation is about exposing the thing that keeps people from really seeing what their opportunity is. And one of the things that a lot of people don't want to talk about out there, and I mean, there's a reason why 90% of coaches only make 20,000 or less, is because they get certificates, and that certificate, they don't get the experience of what it means to have life. Like there's a bunch of people out there that never been married and are giving out relationships advice, which I find it hilarious. Not that, again, I'm not questioning their intention. Not saying that they can't deliver content that changes people's lives and stuff like that. But when you realize the value of your experience and your journey in this thing called life, when you really learn to value that. And Susan, she puts up some stuff about Gen X, and she's made me appreciate, watching her videos has made me appreciate what it means to be a Gen Xer, right? Like Gen Xers are badass. I'm just going to tell you the way it is, right? Like we grew up in an era where it wasn't cotton candy and unicorns, man. Like I drank out of a hose. I literally one time remember drinking out of a gutter, and we lived life, right? Like there was no such thing as car seats. There was like you were considered a fool for wearing a seatbelt back then. Like motorcycles, you didn't have to wear a helmet on there. So it's like, it's really important to understand that your journey is your greatest asset. You are investing every single second of your life into this thing called your life, your journey. And this is what I shared in that challenge, is that every single one of us goes through multiple heroes' journeys. Now, what's important about the hero's journey is that this is what makes the best movies out there, right? This is what makes the best books out there. And most people don't understand the value of their hero's journey. One is they'd never call themselves a hero, just because they've been taught by some people that really don't understand what it means to celebrate value, really don't understand what it means to be humble. Being humble literally means to celebrate value, right? So you celebrating, yeah, absolutely, right? And you are so good at it. I love it. By the way, if you're in the Potential Zone group, get over and follow me on TikTok and join my friends. Like I got amazing friends over there. It's amazing people. But really understanding that, like the ROI, like I said, R is for remember, O is for optimize. Like really looking at how many things in your life do you not see just because of how you filter things, right? Case in point, like here is my book. Okay, this is my book, and for those on TikTok, if you want a copy of my book, get to 5,000 likes and I will give everybody on here a copy of this book. In fact, everybody on here. But there are times that I go to look for a book, and I've got thousands of books, right? But if I'm looking for a particular book, I'm not able to find it. Then what I do, this is a hack I'm teaching everybody. Then what I do is I go onto Amazon and I make sure that I'm looking for the right book. As soon as I know what that book really looks like, then I'm able to find it. Otherwise, I'm looking for what's inside of my head. How many of you have been looking for your keys, not been able to find them, and like you look everywhere? Like, I'm pretty anal about this stuff. Like, I put my keys all in the exact spot. If they're not there, I was like, oh, there's only like 2 or 3 spots I put my keys, my wallet, like all of that stuff. But somebody comes up to you and says, your keys are right here. And it's like, I looked there, like, I don't know how many times. The reason you weren't able to see them is because the image in your head did not match where they were at. And so your mind was literally deleting information. Okay. This is what determines whether you see opportunities or not, is because your mind is going to delete what is out of alignment with what you believe. Right? Just like you bought a car, right? Like you have this car, truck, or whatever vehicle you use for transportation. Then after you bought it, then you noticed it everywhere, right? The reason, was it there before? Yeah, it was there before, but the reason you didn't know it is or the reason you didn't notice it is because you didn't have a personal investment into it. Once you make a personal investment or you start putting focus towards it, it shows up everywhere, right? So that's one of the things that I taught in the optimize aspect of it. And then the other part is, I can't do it because it's on this phone. Actually, I'm going to go get my other phone today so I can start using this. So the last part of the ROI, the I is for influence, right? Like, this is one of the greatest skills that everybody, doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter if you're a spouse, a partner, a teacher, whatever it is that you do, you understanding influence is more important. Like, and the thing that's cool about the word influence, I looked it up. Oh, there it is. I still got it up on the board. So it literally means to have an effect on people, to exert them and influence them to be the best that you can be, right? To cause flow in or into, to infuse, to install, right? And so the more you master this, the more you're going to be able to, that's when I was retired to go always forgets wallet. Yeah. The more you understand and embrace it, the more you're going to be able to make a big impact in your life. Now, I want to make the biggest impact as possible on this earth, right? Like, that's just me. I'm not saying you have to show up like this, but you can make an extraordinary impact on just a couple of people, right? Like, I want to make an extraordinary impact on millions. Like, that's my jam. You don't have to go that big, right? So it's really understanding how we show up and how we do things is literally communicating at a much bigger level than what we think. One of the most frustrating things with entrepreneurs is not understanding how communication really works. And so anybody, right? Like, if we don't understand influence, it makes you very vulnerable to somebody that does, right? Like what I just said there, friends, is super, super important. We are in a recession. Okay. Period. I don't care what the news is saying. I don't care what the president's saying. We are in a recession, right? And this is what's important. Just because somebody says it is doesn't make it so. Right. And if you don't understand influence, like I said, it makes you super vulnerable. Like, there is a reason this country, like, they're saying there is more racism going on now than ever has been in the history of mankind. They're also, like, I just found this out too, that, well, I digress. I digress. The reason I say all this, friends, is understanding television, a vision is telling you what they want you to believe. Okay. This is why I'm so passionate about this, right? Is because once you understand that you are the authority of your life, that you are the one that was given agency to choose whatever you choose, right? But if you don't understand that, then somebody else, if somebody can make you afraid, if somebody can make you angry, then they're the ones that are going to control how you behave, right? If they can control, the one that controls the narrative of history is the one that's in power. Okay. Now, I'm not saying all this. Now, you might think I'm a conspiracy theorist, and according to most people, I am, but just understanding what that really means. I'm a critical thinker. Like, I just don't believe what the TV says, because I understand the TV pays advertisers. And when you start looking at what the majority of advertisements are, you starting to see that a lot of this stuff that's going on out there wants people to feel inadequate. Why do they want them to feel inadequate? So they can prescribe something to them so they feel better. That's just my take on it. Okay. So this is why I want you to really value what it is that you do. What is it that sets your soul on fire? What is it that sets your soul on fire? So what is it that, like, so there's a scene in, now I'm going to be real vulnerable. Okay. and I'm teaching these entrepreneurs and these creators and things like that, something that's really, really powerful, because there's a big difference of communicating something from your head, like memorization stuff and communicating nice, wonderful thoughts and principles and concepts. And then there's another way of communicating from your heart, right? When you really communicate from your heart, it impacts at a really deep level. In fact, I'd encourage everybody to watch the movie, The Power of the Heart. Powerful movie, powerful movie. So when the Titanic came out, Titanic was the first, like a big blockbuster. That was a top selling movie up until Avatar came out. I don't know if anybody's seen Avatar. Amazing, amazing movie. There's a reason why it's an amazing movie, because again, in both of these movies, James Cameron did both of them. He understood the hero's journey. He understood hypnosis. He understood how to put people in a trance. He understood what people buy into, what's the greatest, strongest narratives, right, that get people to do what they do. Okay. Of course, I didn't know this back then. I didn't get it until I watched Avatar. When I watched Avatar the first time, and I'd been studying marketing themes and things like that, and that show was over, I literally sat in that movie theater and was just like, what in the world just happened to me? I was totally in a trance. And it's funny how people think about hypnosis. They don't understand they're always being put in trances. Like, television, its job is to get you in a trance. It just is. It's just determining what trance do you really want to be in, right? So anyway, when the Titanic came out, it was the first movie I ever watched by myself, because I knew I knew what happened. The ship goes down, right? And I knew that I was probably going to get emotional. And then back then I wasn't near as emotional as I am today. Like, the more I let go of the things that hold me back, the more emotional I get, the more sensitive, blah, blah, blah. Like it just goes on and on. So anyway, there's a scene at the end of that movie that is just absolutely amazing. Like, there's so much richness in the end of that movie, because when he first met her, Jack, his name was Jack. Her name was, anybody know what her name was? What was her name? I don't remember her name. Rose. Was it Rose? I think it was Rose. But anyway, Jack and Rose, they end up, hooking up and doing amazing things and stuff like that. But he taught her life that she didn't know, right? And see, that movie literally was programming. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. That movie was actually programming that rich people are hoity-toities and boring and not much fun. Like, think of the term filthy rich people. Just might want to think about that. Look at all the villains that are in Marvel movies. They're all rich. They're all rich. You are being programmed to think about wealth. You're just being programmed, right? But anyway, I digress. So anyway, Jack and Rose, and he shows her a good time and all that stuff. And like, holy crap, life is way more amazing than what I knew. And then at the end of the movie, she goes at the back of that ship, throws that diamond or whatever it was, sapphire, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. Throws it in the ocean, goes, oops, right? And then she passes. And then at the end of it, they scan her room. And did anybody notice what was on her nightstand? There were lots of photographs. And what were those photographs? Those photographs were all of the experiences that she had created. That is what life is all about. And so my dad taught me something that I've taken to heart. My dad's taught me lots of things. Some don't want to repeat, some amazing. But my dad always taught me, when you borrow something, you always want to return it better than what you got it. So I take that very serious when it comes to my mission on this planet. I want to return this planet better than when I got it. That's my mission in life. My mission and my purpose is to empower others to live in their fullest potential, to use my passion, my creativity to empower others to live in their fullest potential. Like, that's my mission. That's what I do. Everything I do in my life. I mean, you will not see any part of my life where I'm not doing that, right? So that when I pass and somebody looks back and looks over the tapestry of this life that I have created, I will have lived life to my fullest potential. Now, there's still lots of things that I still want to do, but the thing I want to impress upon you is, what do you want to represent in your life? How do you want to influence people? What do you want to be remembered for? When people are having conversations about you, what do you want them to say? Now, I don't care what other people think. Well, okay, that's one way of looking at it for sure, but then you don't understand your biology. We are biologically designed to care what people think. We're biologically designed. So anybody who says anything different than that just doesn't understand a whole bunch of things about how us humans are supposed to show up. I do care what people think of me, but there's a difference of caring what they think and taking on what they think. There's a big difference. There's a big difference, right? Because what they think of me is a reflection of them. That is what it is, right? So what do you want your life to really represent? Right. And like, friends, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people, and it's really looking at the programming that we have been indoctrinated with, that really, really, really impacts people. Right. So I've said this, like, I didn't come up with it. I don't even know who came up with this quote. But as you know, if you've been following me on TikTok, if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I'm all about quotes. Like, I've created over 1,000 quotes just for myself. But I love quotes because they're these little nuggets, these little sound bites, little thought bites that really get me, that I think about, that sometimes push me through what I need to be pushed through. But I heard this a long time ago, and it was, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Right. And see, looking at what is the doubt, like, where does the doubt really come from? Well, when you understand the voice of doubt, when you understand the voice of doubt, you can recognize it. And when you can recognize it, then you can neutralize it. See, we can't change something that we're not aware of. We can't change something that we're not aware of. But see, where the doubt really comes from is our ability to trust who we are. Right. And if we were raised in an environment that wasn't real conducive to teaching us how to trust ourselves, teaching us how to embrace our creativity, that didn't teach us how to inquire, like in my household, out of sight, out of mind, right? Like, or be seen and not heard, right? Like, do not stand up to authority, like all these things that were put into our heads, not only by my parents, but by the educational system, by lots of things. Like, I watched teachers literally beat the living hell out of students. Like, that's the environment that I grew up. I watched a shop teacher throw a dude clear across the shop class. That's the environment. That's the schooling that we were allowed. Like, now you can't even look at a teacher wrong, and you're like, the teacher gets like freaking. I coach teachers. I have very intimate conversations with teachers and what they go through these days, right? Because what's happening in our society is nobody wants to take responsibility for anything anymore, right? Like, I was walking down, I go down this path every single day. Okay. Well, not every day, but as many days as I can. Like, I go for my walk every single morning, right? If I can, go listen to an audiobook, whatever. And I'm coming back, and I got these boys from the city cutting down these trees. Well, not cutting down these trees. They're taking down these steps of somebody that had put on the side of a tree. Why? So that the city doesn't get sued. Okay. Like, I was in a generation, like, you fell down, you fell down. Now, if you fall down, you can sue somebody and own everything that they did, because I didn't take responsibility for picking up my own feet. Right? And that's what we're living in today. Is like, lawyers have had a heyday. They've had a heyday. Now, are lawyers necessary? Without a doubt, right? Like, there's some people out there that do some things that are not aligned with the best of humanity. Like, there's some big leaders going on. The principal had a paddle. Yes, somebody put the principal had a paddle. My shop teacher had a paddle, and it freaking had holes in it. Like, and he would tell you, grab your ankles, whack, yow. Yeah, like, I got that a few times, right? But see, we live in a society that I'm supposed to take responsibility for your irresponsibility. Right. And watching, like, I walked out of Walmart the other day, and we got an awesome, like, we have the most awesome Walmart in the world, because I'm not a big fan of Walmart. But this one's an amazing Walmart. And I'm walking out, and this guy's out in the front signing petitions. And I go, and I love these guys because I have friends that do it. Friends, understand this. I'm going to drop a truth bomb for you here. When you sign those petitions, you are literally getting into somebody's lead magnet. Okay. And that means when you sign up and you put your name on that petition, now they can take that signature and sell it to somebody else. Just understand that's what you're doing when you sign those. Right now, I'm all about supporting a good cause, but see, it's a process called commitment and consistency. I'm actually going to be teaching this at a massive level in my next, well, in the mastery class. But if you haven't signed up for the ROIacceleratorchallenge.com, I'd encourage you to do that. I just finished one this weekend. I'm going to be doing another one in a month. But anyway, I go up to him and I said, okay, cool. What are you petitioning about, or what are you getting signs for? And he says that fast food companies that petition against fast food companies want to pay minimum wage. They're fighting to have minimum wage be $25 an hour for people working in a fast food place. It's like, oh my gosh. Now, yeah, this has been interesting, how this journey that I've been on, watching people scream about raising minimum wage. right? Like I was taught, you get paid on the value you bring to the marketplace. Like this is why I teach people what they teach. And like if you haven't seen my levels of value, delivering value on my TikTok, go watch it because it's powerful. I also have it in a potential zone group. It's one of the last videos I did a couple weeks ago. But you understanding the more value you bring to the marketplace, the more you get paid. Okay. Minimum wage was never, ever, ever, ever meant to be a career. It was never meant to be that. It was meant to be an incentive so that you end up expanding who you are and expanding the value you bring to the marketplace. And the more you do that, then you get to raise up in the company, right? Like the last job that I did work with somebody, I got paid $20 an hour, right? $20 an hour as a master jeweler, right? Like I spent, Susan, it's so awesome to see you. Keep creating what you create. Again, if you haven't followed Susan, go follow her. She's amazing. Or I hope it's not Suzanne. Is it Susan or Susan? I think it's Susan. Okay. She's amazing. She's funny. She puts up great Gen X stuff. So if you're, go follow her. She's amazing. Thank you for popping in. But understanding that if we don't teach people how to take responsibility for their lives, they're going to be dependent on the system, right? So these guys were petitioning about $25 an hour. But see, what most people don't understand is business is in business to make a profit. Business answers to shareholders, especially franchise companies that are that big, right? They answer to shareholders. And the reason they answer to shareholders and what the shareholders want is, am I getting money back on my investment? It's all about profit. It's all about profit. So that means this is what's been happening. This is what's been happening. Everybody's rent is minimum wage. Awesome. Go look at Walmart. Go look at Target. Go look at all these different stores. How many checkouts they have automated now? If they're going to have to raise a wage on it, then people don't understand that the company's not only paying minimum wage, they're paying workman's comp, they're paying Social Security, they're paying all these different things. So paying $25 an hour is literally like paying them $50 an hour, at least, right? And see, but I don't have to take responsibility for what I do, and I just want to be handed to me. And now understand, friends, this is about understanding levels of understanding. Like what I'm telling you here is really, really important, because unions were started out and it was a good thing, right? Like Ford, Rockefeller, all these guys ran people into the freaking ground, no doubt, right? Like there needed to be some accountability for that. And understand that everything that was created out of the resistance of something else not working to the level that it could be working. Every time you go into a different level of understanding, it is somebody is getting tired of this level of understanding and goes, okay, I'm going to go out and create something different, right? Just like people are in religion, corporate world, stuff like that. They said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not waiting on this earth. I'm not sacrificing now. And then being able to, they're for my microphone. I want to go out and be an entrepreneur, and I want to start having evidence instead of just living by faith. And this is where science and the entrepreneur is born, right? But then it goes further and further. So the reason I say all this is understanding that now the unions literally starve businesses out of profit. So the union goes in there, okay, hey, we're going to suck everything we can out of this business and pay employees, everybody that's union members. We're going to make sure that we protect them, and we're going to suck everything we can out of the business until the business can't run anymore and it shuts it down. Right? So the unions have actually created a bigger problem than why the unions were created. Okay. This is why I'm telling you the best way to go is you figure out how to create money out of thin air. Like that's the best way for you to go. You learn how to create your own economy. You learn how to step into your greatness, learn how to influence, learn how to communicate, learn how to deliver products to the marketplace that people value, learn how to look at your timeline and glean all the amazing nuggets that are there so that you can support somebody in shortening their learning curve. Okay. When you learn how to do that, it's amazing. Like, think about this. If I asked you, if you have kids, what would be the best advice? What was the thing that surprised you more about being a parent than anything else? There he is. We got Angel in the house. So Angel, this old boy, I hope it's okay I call you that, brother. This old boy does amazing, amazing tattoos. And he was part of the ROI Accelerator Challenge. And I'm excited to see what this guy's going to create. Right? Once you start valuing your journey, then you can start getting excited about sharing it with other people, right? Like this is my, remember who you are. Remember who you are, right? And when you look up remember, excuse me, it actually means, the root of that actually means to rewrite who you are. Because most of the people are living their lives based on what somebody else told them is possible, right? And they're also living their lives to avoid the pain that they've experienced, right? Like I got a PhD in that one, self-proclaimed, because I know I am on the internet and people take stuff literally. I'm just joking when I say that, right? But I got a doctorate. I got way more. I got a doctorate in like knowing how to screw up life. I got like multiple PhDs in that, right? So learning how to rewrite the programs and the apps that you created in survival so that you can now write them so that they become thriving apps instead of survival apps. That's mastery, my friends. That's mastery. There's a reason why 9 out of 10 businesses fail. There's a reason 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. Now, the reason you believe that it is not the reason. Okay. The reason 9 out of 10 businesses fail is because of the internal programming of the entrepreneur. I started digging trenches for plumbers and electrical companies. This year, I'll make about 250K. Is it Casey? I hope I said that right. Casey or Cassie? Dude, that's awesome. That is awesome. I can show you how to take that even further if you would like to know how to do that. That's awesome. Good for you. That's all about leverage, right? Like you said, I started digging trenches for plumbers and electrical guys. Send me a message, dude. Like I can show you, like guy that I study, literally started out carpet cleaning business, and now he makes he's probably pushing, well, he's well into the 8 figures now. Well into the 8 figures. Okay. So yeah, send me a message, follow me. I'll follow you back, and then send me a DM, and I'd love to support you on that. So understanding that when you start getting into, again, everybody that follow me on this is on this live, wherever you're at, go look at my last TikTok, or it's not my last one, but look at one of my pinned TikToks. Like it's you can only pin 3 of them. One of them is the one where I'm talking about delivering the different levels of value, right? You get paid based off of the value you bring to the marketplace. So the more creative you can get with that, and the more you get serious. So yeah, I got to be careful. So what I mean by be careful is I get down these rabbit trails and I start getting excited about talking about stuff because, friends, understand, I create 7, 8, and 9 figure entrepreneurs. Like that's what I do. This is what I get so excited about, right? And because when you, and it's not about money, it's about freedom. It's about freedom. That's what it's all about. It's about wealth. Wealth is learning how to collapse time. It's about learning how to collapse time. It's about valuing time so much that you learn how to leverage it, right? But see, most of us, and the older I get, the more, I don't want to say older, the more amazing. I'm going to just, like I heard this guy say it one time. He's like, I'm 55 years amazing. I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that on, right? Because think about that. If your subconscious, not if, it is, your subconscious is serving you the way it thinks you want to be served. So if you sit there and say, I'm old, guess what? That's what it's going to serve you. That's what it's going to serve you, right? So that's why I say I am 56 years amazing, right? Like I've earned my price to be here. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, Angel, like this dude is amazing. Like I'm so excited to see what happens with him as well. But it doesn't matter what it is that you do. Now, I don't say it doesn't matter, like I don't care, but understanding when you're in the proximity of somebody that knows how to take something and expand it, and really looking at, like the longer I'm here on this earth, the more I invest into this thing called the price of admission, right? The more I start really valuing my time. Time is our most priceless commodity. And when we start getting very intentional about how we use our time, because it is a finite, for us, it is a finite resource. And so the more we understand this, that one day We are all going to not be here in this dimension. I will be at the bottom of an ocean in a bottle with my ashes. Like, that's where they're throwing me when I'm done, right? I understand that day's coming. That day's coming. Don't know when, but it's coming. And because I know that, I'm going to do everything I can so that when it comes that time, everything I had to offer was here. I left it on the table. And I'm just going to get real with it. In fact, Angel, this guy that's here talking about him, he was in the challenge. Okay. At the end, it was a 3-day workshop that I did, 3-day challenge that I did. The very last session, I broke down. I broke down in tears, right? Because there was something that I did, and you got to go sign up for it. But at the end of it, I had something that landed for me super, super hard. And it was just a moment in time. And I went, wow. Like, the last 2 years that I have gone through, I have gone through my life being nuked in about every possible way in the last 2 years, right? Like, I've paid a price of admission that has got me here so that you can't buy experience with certifications. Don't even get me started on that, because there's a bunch of coaches out there. I got a certificate. It's like a monkey with a machine gun. Like I said, there's people out there giving relationship advice and they've never even been married. Not that it has to be married, but it's like, you're 22 years old and you're giving me relationship advice. Come on, right? Like, really? Like, I've got all kinds of certifications, right? But my certification, my most valuable certification, is my 56 years of life. Like, I got experience that I've earned paying the price of admission, right? So have you. So I say that, like, what do you think is the most valuable thing? What is the most valuable thing? What not to do, or to know what to do? It's a great question, right? Because learning through experience is the most expensive way to learn anything. Because guess what? If you don't know what you're doing and you go down this path and you end up having, like, just think of energy, right? Like, not just money's energy, is time is energy, right? Like, these are very, very valuable assets. Is that if you don't know, this is why 9 out of 10 businesses fail. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. That is reality. That is reality. And then the 10% that make it, 80% of those end up going south in the next 10 years, right? It's because of their internal world. They don't know how to manage them. They don't know how to manage their internal world. So they create all these expectations of what it means to be an entrepreneur and step out there and, woohoo, I'm going to have freedom and I get to write what I want to write. But there's all kinds of things that they weren't even aware of because they did this widget or skill for somebody else that did lots of other things that they weren't even aware of, right? And then they get into this place and it's like, oh my gosh, they get introduced to these parts of themselves that they didn't even know was there. And if they don't know how to manage that, then their body's going to take over, and their body is a survival mechanism. And their body is going to get so uncomfortable that they're going to just start shutting down, right? Case in point, I got a friend of mine, it's a fellow hypnotherapist. I'm a hypnotherapist. Like, again, I don't talk about all this stuff. I'm about transforming people's lives, and I use lots of different modalities to make that happen, right? But she was working with this guy that was in San Francisco. Guy had a very successful business in San Francisco, and he kept building it up and losing it. Not losing it, but just like he would build it up and then it start going south. He'd build it up and then it'd start going south. She did a session with him and found out what was going on. He had a girlfriend up in Washington. So his subconscious is going, I want to be with her more than I want to be building this business. So if I'm building this business, that means that I'm not going to be with her. So guess what? Subconscious served him the way their subconscious wants him to be served. So the business would start going down. Once they fixed that, boom, magic happened. Magic happened, right? Just got everything aligned, started figuring out strategies. Once you figured out once you know what's going on, then you can start coming up with what's really happening. But see, this is the other thing. Like, again, what stops growth for everybody? This is me included. The 4 things that stop us is arrogance. See, our arrogance will say, well, I don't need to ask anybody that, or nobody cares what I think. Like, getting to understand the language of these different things. Arrogance, self-righteousness, right? Like, nobody understands what I have to go through because I'm a plumber and I'm only using this, brother, because of you. And this has been my journey as well. And I'm sure you've experienced this as well, right? Like, there are principles in expanding a business. It doesn't matter if you're a plumber, a dentist, a coach, a network marketer, like I don't care what it is, there's principles that work across all boards, right? Like learn how to leverage your message. Very valuable tool, right? But see, our self-righteousness, well, you don't understand because you're not a plumber or you're not this or you're not that, right? No, again, this is what stops us. Then the other one is victimhood, right? Like that's a big one. Victimhood is a big one. And we all have the victim archetype within us. Like whether we want to get real about it or not, it doesn't mean that we are always showing up as a victim, because the healthy side of a victim is the victor, right? Geez, we're up to 2,100 already. Thank you. That's awesome. We're almost there. But the other one is entitlement. We're not entitled to anything. We're not entitled to anything, right? And oh my gosh, I promise you, there has been times that has frustrated. Like, can I just get a break? No, me not getting the break called things forward inside of me that I didn't even know was there, right? Because what determines your outcome is your ability to overcome, right? And we got to be put into situations that we don't believe we can handle so that we can learn that we are capable of it. And then we trust our ability to be in the unknown. The unknown for me, once upon a time, was not a good place, right? Because when we get into the unknown, we access childhood strategies, right? And most of those strategies for me were survival programs. You will never create thriving with survival programming. You just never will, right? So that's why I'm saying, like one of my mentors, one of my coaches, spends $250,000 a year. $250,000 a year. This is a repetition. Not sure what you mean by repetition. Glad you're here though. $250,000 a year on being hypnotized, because he's very real. He's very real, and he knows that the imposter syndrome is real. It's not only in entrepreneurs; it's in everybody. It's in everybody. It has to be. It has to be there, because in that creates the challenge of you to choose how are you going to show up. It's just like lifting weights. We have to lift weights in order for us to get stronger. Right? There has to be that tension in order for us to look at, what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to believe that you know it and this is it? Or are you going to choose to believe that you understand that there's programs running deep within inside of yourself that are not aligned with what it is that you want to create? Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that. So he said, I've fallen into that some through the years, usually after I've hurt myself from overworking myself. Massive. This is so huge. This is one of the things that take people. One of these days, I'm going to bring this in here. Let me see. I just got to create one. I got to get one in here because it's so important. Burnout is one of the biggest symptoms. Talking about people like they are online. I thought this was a repetition. They are online, Ahmad. They are online. These are all people on the other side of it. I don't look at you as just a name. You're a person, right? Is burnout. So burnout is, again, looking at everything as energy. Profit is energy, right? I only see myself. Good. Well, I wish I could see you. I only see myself, but I understand you're there. So learning how to manage energy is true profit, right? And if we don't look at how we are showing up physically, we have, like I just said in this challenge that I just did, we have 8 bodies, okay? We have communication. Communication is energy. Communication. We have mental, we have emotional, we have spiritual, we have money, we have body, and we have time. These are the 7 elements that we get, the 7 pillars that we have to work with. And think about this. If we're not in tune with these, right, like how you communicate with yourself impacts every single one of these. Your relationship with spirituality connects, affects every one of these. Your body impacts all of these. So if you're hungry, this is a great example. When you are hungry and you go to a grocery store, how well does that work out for you? Right? Now, I'm pretty powered up. I know what's going on in my head and stuff like that, right? And I know it's not a good strategy for me when I go to the grocery store hungry. And if I do it, I'm going to go in, buy that one thing and get out, because I know if I don't, I'm done. I'm done. But what's happening is my body is in survival. My body is in survival, right? And because my energy is low, right? So now it's gone into survival mode. And so that's what I'm going to make choices out of, right? And if I'm working my tail off, my energy is going to be lower. And I'm going to be operating most of the time in a very unresourceful state. I'm going to be reactive consciousness, right? And this is what a lot of entrepreneurs do. And see, this is one of the questions that, like, I've asked people. Like, if you've been on my shows a lot, you've heard me say this many, many, many times. What are you worth? How much are you worth? And let's just use the what would be the word I could use? Let's use the categorization of time. How much are you worth an hour, right? Let's get it down into, what are you worth an hour, right? If you're worth $250 an hour, and that's what you claim for yourself, like I've claimed I'm worth $2,000 an hour. That's what I charge if people are going to work with me one-on-one. If you want to hire me for a year, we can talk about that, right? But it's much different, right? If you're only going to work with me an hour and hire me for an hour, I work with people for a year. You're asking me for an increment of time that I usually commit to people that I work with for a year. So you're going to pay more for it, right? But if somebody's worth $250 an hour and they're mowing their lawn, that's not a very effective use of time. Now, I get it. Some people do it for, like, it's therapeutic for them, right? Okay, cool. Like, I'm allergic to mowing the lawn. I'm not allergic to the lawn. I'm allergic to mowing the lawn because I would rather have my gardener do that, right? Like doing the house. I have somebody come in and clean the house. Like I don't do these things, right? My time is used better compounding and leveraging things that I can do that support my students and my clients, right? Like that's where I put my time. And so if I'm not looking at that, I can be doing things that are literally sucking the life out of me, right? And then wondering why I'm feeling tired and burned out all the time. And this is where your subconscious shows up and goes, dude, like, it's not going to say this to you unless you're aware, like if you have the awareness, but it's going to say, like, I got to pull back your resources because this is not going, you are bleeding out in all these areas, right? And then you start reacting to employees, to vendors, to whatever. And the next thing you know, you're like, holy crap, how did I get here? Because you're burned out, right? And see, like my coach, like I've always had coaches, always, over 30 years. I've always had coaches, like always. I will not ever be in a time of my life when I don't have coaches. That just will not, that's a non-negotiable for me ever, 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 ever again. Because in the short periods that I haven't had one, I ended up like, yeah, I run stuff into the ground pretty quick, right? So being able to understand, like my coach told me this, and it was like, wow, it landed hard. And he says, dude, you are a very strong person. And that's not a compliment. That's a warning. Because see, this is what a lot of entrepreneurs do. I got to be strong. I got to be tough. I got to work hard, right? We live in a society where workaholism is a badge of honor. No, it's no different than alcoholism. You're avoiding living your life and you are going to have a breakdown, period, right? If your life's out of balance, you are headed for a breakdown, period. Like relationship's going to go south, your health's going to go south, like something's going to break down, right? And so looking at, like, we all have heard this saying of the straw that broke the camel's back. Think about that. Like one blade of straw broke the camel's back. Like how much straw would that camel have to be carrying for it to one blade of straw to break its back? But see how most people show up is I'll be about 3 or 4 blades of straw short of breaking its back. But think about how much energy it costs to sustain that. What if you just got rid of all the straw and used your energy to focus on what it is that you want to create and to focus on you leveraging your time, right? Because creation and focus feed us. Creation and focus feed us. Reaction and maintenance drain us, right? So inventory your life. Where are you bleeding out? Like, and this is the thing with entrepreneurs, right? And actually, I'm going to do one, like a P&L, right? We all have profit and loss statement, right? But for me, it's prepare, navigate, and leverage, right? Like that's my P&L. Like ROI, return on investment. Your greatest ROI is you. If I'm going to bet down on anything, it's going to be me. I'm doubling down on me every single time. I have no control over the stock market. I have no control over what's going to be in 5 years from now, I have no idea where Facebook's going to be. In fact, I got some insider secret that Facebook is not going to be where it's going to be in 5 years. Even Google, right? Like things are changing, my friend. Things are changing, right? But I'm going to bet on me because I know that no matter what goes on, I'm still going to show up the way I show up. And my audience and my friends and my tribe is my greatest resource. Like this is my tribe. This is my jam, right? And it doesn't take a massive amount of people for you to live a pretty decent life, right? Like get the book, 1,000 Fans, great book. It's a great book, right? So thinking about how can you leverage your skill and your knowledge so that you can support more and more people. If you want to find out more of how you can do that, send me a DM. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Like I said, I create 7, 8, 9 figures. Like one of my clients, I just talked about this in my challenge. When he met me, he was doing 10 to 15,000 a month. He's doing over 250,000 a month now. Not even 30 years old, right? I showed him how to leverage. I showed him how to get out of his way. I showed him how to freaking value who he is and really stand in what he is supposed to be, right? Because your self-image is massively impacting your ability to create, right? Like I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Got it. That's cool. All right. You do you. I'm going to do me. I love everybody. I love everybody regardless what they do. Everybody's on a journey. Everybody's on a journey. There's other people I prefer being around more than other people. I'm not a big fan of being around people that have all kinds of excuses and not being willing to change them, right? Excuses are very, 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 very expensive beliefs, right? And that's where our doubt shows up. Yeah, but you don't understand. Yeah, I do understand. I do understand. Like I was broke. Oh my gosh, we're at 5,000. Okay, thank you, TikTok. Okay, so if anybody wants a copy of my book for absolutely free, go download it at the map to your fullest potential.com. Thank you. You guys are all rock. You're awesome. The map to your fullest potential.com. Get your free copy of my international best-selling book. Okay. This is standing in your mission and your voice. Like I earned the ability to put this in print and have it become an international bestseller. And me earning that, I almost ended my sister's life. I almost ended my life. You're awesome, Helen. Thank you. I'm gonna owe you a few dinners someday. And understanding, like I have filed bankruptcy, divorces, multiple businesses blow up. I've paid the price of admission. But see, it is your narrative about all your past things that you have had happen that stop you from stepping in your greatness. It's how you hold your past that determines your future. If you want to learn how to rewrite your past and literally change it, I can show you how to change your past. I can show you, absolutely. Reaction is very, very draining, and maintenance. It's mindless, right? An idle mind is a devil's playground, as the old saying goes. And my brother Bobby, man, wait until you see what my brother Bobby. My brother Bobby's going to create some amazing things. Beautiful man. Go follow him. Amazing, amazing soul. Right? So this is your life. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is not a dress rehearsal. And someday, there's going to be somebody you're not ever going to see again, because it will be their last day. And there will be a day when you won't be here anymore. And what do you want to leave behind? If my grandmother left, and she always wanted to write a book, and that was part of me. So me writing this for me, right? Now I've created international best-selling authors for other people, like my clients. I've turned them into international best-selling authors. I've turned them into international speakers. I've shown them how to create courses that radically transform people's lives, because it's been my mission, right? But my grandmother died. My grandfather died. My grandfather was a war hero, had a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. Like, amazing guy. Amazing guy. Taught me honor on a level that was unbelievable. Everybody loved my grandpa Ole. Everybody loved him. Amazing guy. Used to love telling his war stories. Loved it. Amazing man. He went to the grave with all those stories inside of him. My grandma always said she wanted to write a book. She never did. Went to the grave with it inside of her. And see, my friends, that is the greatest resource in the world. Greatest resource in the world, where the best songs, the best movies, the best whatever, the best everything, inventions, everything. That greatest resource is the cemetery. People let their doubts domesticate their mission in life. And they took it to the grave with them. See, and understand some of the best stuff out there, like Tony Robbins, okay? I've been studying NLP since 1990. I ended up buying Personal Power, like back in 93 or something like that. See, I actually have more training than Tony Robbins. Now, because of what Tony Robbins did, he paved the way for a lot of life coaches and things like that. Very, very instrumental in the whole journey, right? But see, the thing about Tony is he's phenomenal at marketing. He's phenomenal at marketing. And some of the best songs out there that have yet to be sung have been sung, but they don't know how to market. They don't know how to step into being a business. They don't know how to leverage. They don't know how to get their voice out there, right? So when you value what you have to offer, you're going to do everything you can to invest into you to expand it, right? And when I got into that and really understood that, and that's why I said when I got emotional Sunday when I was teaching the last day of the 3-day challenge, I got it, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And it took me right back to this one saying the good old Paul says, my brother Paul said, I ran the race, I fought the fight, I kept the faith. So what do you, yes, absolutely, Casey, I can help you with that. I absolutely, brother, I got some things to share with you. Like if you've done what you've done, yeah, I'll just put nitrous on top of everything you've done. Yeah, we'll blow it up. So you really look at, are you feeding your doubt or are you feeding your dream? Right? Understand the voice of doubt, right? Like, who do you think you are? See, and understand, friends, this is something else important. Our biggest fear is being separated from our tribe. Like one of the biggest breakthroughs I had was I was becoming the person that I thought my parents hated. Because I used to listen to my parents talk about their bosses. I used to hear my parents talk about wealthy people. I used to hear my parents talk about things of people that had nice things. Here I'm becoming that person. That's a big, 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 big threshold, right? And so what are you really committed to? We don't get what we want. We get what we're committed to. Don't commit to your doubts. Don't commit to playing small. Commit to you. Commit to you. And own it. And own it. You are a unique signature of divine, like nobody else. Like nobody else. Nobody else is you. Nobody else has been, is, or ever will be. Nobody's read the books you've read. Nobody's had the experiences you've had. Nobody's loved the people you've loved, but you. And the more you value that, then the more you understand the value of your message and how it can impact people's lives, then you will start investing in your message. Your message is your greatest ROI. Your message is your greatest ROI, because nobody, no recession can ever take that away from you. Nobody. Right? So I appreciate everybody being here. It means the world to me. It really does. Like I said, on Sunday when I was teaching my class, like the last day of the challenge, man, I broke down. I just broke down. It was just one of those notice moments, man. It was just like, oh my gosh. There's so many moments that I wanted to give up. There's so many moments where it's just like, man, this is so hard. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And something happened, and it kept me going, it kept me going, it kept me going. I've had many, many, many dark nights of the soul, many. I appreciate you, Ahmad. I do. I hope I'm saying that right. I appreciate you sharing your time with me too. Like, friends, please understand and hear me. I know that on the other side of the screen, there's people there. And I really, really, really cherish you. I really value you. And if there's anything I ever do that you don't feel that, please let me know, because I do. And this is the other thing. I heard this from, I can't remember the guy. He eats fruit. Like he's a younger guy. And he says, don't focus on the ones that are just stopping by. focus on the ones that stay. I'm focusing on you. Like I had an epic conversation with Angel yesterday, had an epic conversation with Helen today. Like I'm watching these people's lives radically expand at a rapid rate. And it's so exciting. It's made all of my journey worth it. And I shared this. I'll share this before I go, because I think it's a really important question for everybody to ask themselves. What is some of the epic experiences that you've had in your life that shaped who you are today? And one of mine was this experience I had with this kid named Kevin in second grade. Bobby's amazing. This guy just had an epic conversation before I got on here with him. So when I was in second grade, our school caught fire, and they were busing us to another school. And in second grade, my family, this is when my family was really getting crazy. And I had this kid in second grade. His name was Kevin Thompson. He was a little bit mentally slower than everybody else. Got picked on a lot. And I was one of the bigger kids in school, so I befriended him, and kid just had a heart of gold. It's just an amazing kid. And he took me and introduced me to his parents and his brother and stuff. Just an amazing kid. And then one day my mom told me, she goes, "You know who Kevin Thompson is?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know who Kevin Thompson is." It's like, "Why?" She goes, "Because he's in the obituary." "Well, the obituary? What's the obituary?" She goes, that's where they put people that have passed." I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "He was decapitated." "What?" I like, what does that mean? What does decapitated mean? She's like, "Well, got his head cut off in a carpet cleaner." I'm like, no idea how to process this. I'm like, what? And I go to school the next day, or that was, Sunday. She told me on Sunday. I go to school the next day, and I get running off the bus because they bused us to the other school, like I said. Go running into the school, and Mrs. Gunnarsson, my second grade teacher, was walking towards me, and I wanted to be the first one to get there. And I said, "Did you hear about what happened to Kevin?" She goes, "Yep." "And we will never mention his name again." I was just like, wow. He was here yesterday, he was here Friday, and now he's just gone. And we'll never mention his name again. And I didn't realize what decision I made at that point until decades later. In fact, I was just doing this about 11 years ago. 11 years ago, somebody asked me the same question I'm asking you. And the decision I made in that moment that I didn't even realize was, I don't want anybody to ever feel like they don't matter, because I know what that feels like. And so I have spent my life getting people to get the crap out of the way that makes them feel like they don't matter. So everything I do, this is for Kevin, because he does matter. And so do you. So do you, my friend. If there's anything I can do to support you and create and whatever you want to create in this world and share what you want to create, I'm not sure what you mean by "do you soak?" Not sure what you mean by that. If you want to ask me that in a different way, I'll be happy to answer your question. I do floats for sure. But yeah, I appreciate all of you. I do. I really, I don't take it for granted. Like, I understand there's every one of these names, there's somebody on the other side of this, and I appreciate that, and it means the world to me. So I'm gonna go eat. I appreciate all of you. I will be back on TikTok tomorrow. On the Potential Zone, I'll probably be back on Thursday. Till then, my friend, always much love. I appreciate each and every one of you. And may you live like your life depends on it, because you're a blessing to this world, and you feeding your doubts denies us of experiencing who you really are. And I want to know who you are. I want to see your gift that you have to share with this world. Okay? So much love, and I'll see you then. Take care.